following program is a collection of stooges talking about the happenings in the automotive detailing industry. It is meant to be comedic and informative. The opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or their ad partners. There may be some cuss words because that's how grown-ups talk in the real world. If you are a young, please seek permission before watching or listening any further.
Welcome to the Detail Solutions Podcast. My name is Alex Russell, and I am your host. Man, my hair is kind of crazy tonight. Listen, I got the red delight. I need y'all to buy this stuff. I need to get rid of it. I thought more of it would be gone by now. So please hit me up if you want to buy it. It's I know it's got Noxie's stupid face on it, and it's probably deterring some of y'all from buying it. But it really does smell good. Yeah, it smells super good. Listen, $60 shipped. Continental US. If you're outside the US, hit me up. I'll figure out what shipping is for you. But I got to unload these things. I got about, I don't know, 25, 30 left. I need to get rid of. Wife's tired of them sitting on the table. So hit me up. You cannot find them on the website if that's where you're going to look for them. You actually have to hit me up. I will tell you what is on the website, though, the detailsolutionspodcast.com. It is where you can find the links to where you're listening to this or where you can find us on social media. Hopefully, you're listening to this because you are actually a fan and you listen to it. But if you stumbled across us and you're like, oh, man, where do I find these guys? The detailsolutionspodcast.com. That's where you're going to go and find our links. We also have a wonderful preferred vendor page for our ad partners. We love to support them. They love to support us. We hope that you support them because they'll support us, and that give them a little bit of money. They give us a little bit of money, and we all have a good laugh. So hashtag money, money, funny. But yeah, on the preferred vendor page, you're going to get an about what the company is about. It's got a quick link, takes you right to their website. So you don't have to go and open up another tab and type in a link. You just click on it, go right to it. If they don't have a code, make sure that you mention the Detail Solutions podcast when you're purchasing for them or getting set up as an account. So that they know that their hard-earned money is working. And then we also have the drip shop. That's where we're going to have the Concaster t-shirts, the logo shirts, the hoodie, and the hat. I am just about all caught up on YouTube. So the YouTube channel, the new YouTube channel is the Detail Solutions Podcast, the number 1. It is all caught up to Matthew Good. So I still just need to put Lithium up, but that episode just dropped. Let's see, this come out Sunday night, so it just dropped on Thursday a couple days ago. So hopefully by the time this one actually releases, it'll be on there. We're also on TikTok. If you want to give us a follow, the Detail Solutions Pod. That is where I post different clips from the episodes, go through Opus and pull out some of the better clips from the episodes and throw them up on there. And yeah, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe on all of those. If you're still planning to go to Reds in Marietta, Georgia, May 3rd through the 5th for the Just Car Angel Wax training, there are a few seats available, I believe Tommy said. Go to angelwaxus.com. And you can find the training thing there where you can purchase your seat. Noxie and Rain are going to be doing some training. I'm going to be doing some podcasting slash just being a royal pain in Noxie's ass for the whole weekend, cutting it up with Rick and Tommy as well. So go check that out. All right, please go like, share, follow, subscribe, hit that notification button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast. Please leave us a 5-star review. You guys beg your clients for reviews on help out your Google. I'm begging you for reviews to help out the podcast. Just puts us in front of more people. So tonight, I hope you guys got your passport stamped. We're taking a trip back down under. We're going to talk with I can't speak tonight. Brett Partridge. He's was recommended by Cam. So if you don't like him, go give Cam some shit. But we'll be right back. It's your ultimate partner in automotive detailing. Elevate your detailing game with our premium microfiber towels and applicators, meticulously crafted for protection. Unleash the power of precision and achieve that showroom shine. Autofiber, where innovation meets immaculate finish. Upgrade your detailing experience today. Visit autofiber.com and use the code DSP for 10% off your order. The difference is in the details. All right, Brett, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Good, man. Listen, I gotta say this every time a Aussie comes on. How is it in the future? Because it's like Saturday morning for you, right?
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I wish I had some secrets I could share, but
Yeah, right. Like you got the Powerball numbers or anything for me?
I wish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So listen, man. I won't, I don't really know a lot about you. I started following you on Instagram because Cam Scorey suggested that I reach out to you, and dude, I kind of like your work and everything like that. But I think what myself and everybody else would like to know is what's the how, the where, the when, the why did you get into detailing?
I guess growing up as a kid and all that, I've always been interested in cars and that sort of stuff. Um, Always tried to have nice cars myself and all those sort of things. And part of having a nice car is you try to keep it clean and whatnot. And just over time, learning and playing around, and I guess the desire to start getting things better led into obviously starting to learn a little bit of it, and then people around me started paying attention, and you get the odd person, family or friend, oh, do you want to clean my car or whatever? Yours always looks so good, and sort of just led into that, and then it sort of led into a side business, I guess, which is how most people get into it.
Yeah.
And then it sort of got to the point where it was busy and my other job was busy, and I sort of had to choose between the two. And then they sort of informed me that it was getting quiet there and they were making some cuts anyway. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to force myself to go full time. So
Right. Just
that,
just out
that
of
sort of,
just out of curiosity, what was your 9 to 5er?
I was underground coal mining. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
sort of
Yeah.
opposite a job
Yeah,
of
there's a
getting
lot of
dirty.
there's a lot of mining down there, right? Because I know I spoke with Dale Guthrie, and he does that. He works in the mines or something, I think. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know Dale.
especially where I am, like the town I live in, there's like 3 coal mines within 40 minutes of here. So 90%
Oh
of
wow.
people sort of, well, the big industry around here is that. So that's sort of where everyone works.
Yeah. Just curious, sidestep. How did you get into that? Was that just something that's like kind of normal or easy to get into, or was it? I mean, did you always want to get into mining coal?
Not always, but it's sort of one of those things. It's sort of the better paying job around here.
Okay.
So a lot of people try to get into it for the money side. Obviously, it's always handy to have a job that pays well.
Gotcha. No,
Um,
I'm always curious because like here in Florida, there's not a lot of like those like what I would kind of call or consider like union style, like working in a mine or a plant or you know like a like the car plants or things like that, like we kind of have in the northern states, right? So It's always one of those things. I always, kind of wonder like how people, what was the attraction. But yeah, I guess usually if it's, a union, at least here, I know like those are kind of union jobs and they always pay very well, have very good, benefits and things like that.
Yeah, that was definitely most of it. It's a pretty
Yeah.
consistent job too. Obviously, there's a lot of work always around in the mines. So once you're in there, you're sort of always needed in a
Right.
way. Unless obviously there's like a coal price downturn or something, which that can happen in any industry. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you can get in there, most of the companies stay busy the whole time. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
And was that more of like a full time, like every day, or was that kind of like a on and off? Because I know, like, I think when I talked to Dale, like Dale does it for a few months at a time, and then he's off, or he does it for like a month, and then he's off for a few weeks, and he goes back and does it. So was it like that, or was it like a full, 9 to 5? Or
for me, it was Monday to Friday
okay,
for a while, and then it was like weekends as a set roster. But yeah, there's definitely other people that do week on, week off, or a couple of
yeah.
weeks on, week off, that sort of stuff. Yeah, just depends
So
on.
yeah, so now that you've been doing detailing for a while, uh, which do you prefer?
I definitely prefer detailing. I mean, that was definitely a part of it. It's something I've always enjoyed doing, so it was a lot
Yeah,
easier to choose it. It's a very
yeah,
satisfying job, obviously, versus getting dirty all day, every day, in a place that not necessarily you make that much difference,
yeah.
obviously. So,
And plus, you can make your own hours, work your own schedules.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
And all that sort of stuff. You set your own sort of quality control and all that as well. So when you work for a company, you do what they do.
right.
Um, I get to choose, the quality of my work and all that sort of stuff as well, without anyone, telling me, there's budget problems or any of that sort of stuff. You do what you want to do and you produce the result you want to produce. So that's a big thing for me.
No, no, that's good. It's probably well, I was gonna say it might be a little bit better for your health, but I don't know. Some of the chemicals that we breathe in as detailers might be a little bit worse.
Yeah, that and some of the positions you end up in folded up under seats and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So it's definitely probably not better for your back or anything, but
Yeah, exactly. So when you were, kind of ready to make that change or thinking of making that change and everything like that, um, was it you had enough work to kind of do it, or was it kind of like, oh well, if they're making cuts anyways and I've got this, I might as well make that jump? Was it still, a scary thing to do, kind of, leaving, a pretty secure job to go do this, even though you might have been outed at the other job anyways?
I had one job booked in when I left the other place. So and it was for the following week, obviously, because it was around my roster.
Yeah.
I remember that like the wife was stressing. Obviously, we got 2 kids and that sort of stuff. She's like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "Well, I've got that job. I'll just move it to this week, and then I'll put it out on my social media and message a few people that I know wanted work upcoming and that, and say, hey, I'm full time now. Um, this is what I'm doing." And luckily for me, I've been able to make that work to the point that I haven't really ran out of work now in 4 years since I've done that. So it
Oh wow.
was definitely stressful, but the first month where you got a job scheduled for maybe 2 days, and you start that job and you're like, I've got nothing booked after this yet, but sort of just lucky enough that while you're working, people come in and see you and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Been able to just stack the work up since. So yeah, it's been good in that way, but it was definitely stressful at the time.
Yeah.
And probably not the smartest choice you could have made, leaving a job with no backup and no work booked up. But yeah, sometimes you just got to put
Yeah.
yourself in the deep end to force
Sometimes,
yourself to succeed.
yeah, sometimes you got a baby bird and jump out of that nest, kind of thing. Listen, I've been doing it for 8 years now, and I still don't think it's any less stressful because, there's a lot of times, like this week, I didn't really, I think I only had like one job this week and it was only for like $200, but thankfully today I collected my, my monthly clients, you know, my monthly maintenance clients, I collect them on the first Friday of the month. So I collected that money, and you know, that's realistically enough for a week for me. Um, you know, and then I've got a boat to do next week that I'm not happy about, but you know, the boat's going to be, you know, maybe day, 2 days tops, or day and a half tops for me to do, but it's going to be, you know, a week's worth of money for me. And you know, my wife's kind of still the same way. Like when it gets slow, you know, she starts freaking out, and I'm just like, all it takes is one phone call, you know. And like, sure enough, like I get a phone call, and it's one of my good clients, and he's like, hey, he's like, you know, I've got this 24-foot boat. And I was like, what? When? He's like, yeah, we've had it for a while. He goes, but it needs to be done. And I was like, well, I don't like doing boats, but money's money. So,
Yeah, that's it. Um, yeah, it's still the same for me as well. Like even this week, you know, I didn't have much next week, and I have a guy that works with me, so it obviously keeps you a bit more stressful trying to keep him busy as well because he
yeah,
costs money. Um, but yeah, it's the same thing, man. You can have a day where you book 5 customers in, or like 10 people come and see you, and then you can not hear from anyone for 2 weeks. I think
yeah,
it's just part of the industry in a way, especially where I am. Like I'm sort of remote. Like it's an hour or so to the nearest towns from where I am.
oh wow,
There's only like 10,000 people around here, but I've been lucky enough to, like you said, with the regular clients and that sort of stuff, I've got a little network going of people that can always sort of keep me going, luckily. Um, and yeah, you just sort of roll with it. There's not much you can do.
yeah.
Um,
No, that's true, and that's yeah, that's crazy. You got like you're in that's such a small area like that. Now, do you get a lot of draw from that bigger town that's an hour away? Or, I mean, are people driving that far to you, or is it really just doing the locals over and over and over again?
it is a bit of both. Like, obviously, I mostly do a lot of local stuff, but like I have started reaching out, obviously, to other towns, just through word of mouth and whatnot. Like, I've got a car in here at the moment that I'll be coding later today, and they travelled like 3.5 hours,
Oh
just
wow,
from hearing about me or seeing my page or whatever. So I do get people from the other towns. I wouldn't say like there's people lining up, but I
yeah.
still get them here and there definitely, which is good, I guess.
No, that's awesome. I mean, like I think the furthest I've ever had anybody come to me was like an hour away. And I was surprised I was like, man, you really gonna drive like 50 miles to come to me? Like, I'm pretty,
Yeah,
I mean, thank you. But you know, like, and they did it a few times. I did, I think like 4 or 5 vehicles for them over like a 2 or 3 year span or something like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I was thankful for it, but yeah, here it's so in like Central Florida area, it's so densely populated, and then it's just so saturated with detailers. It's crazy. I mean, it's like I can drive, you know, 10 minutes down the road, maybe go on a, 4 miles, 5 miles or whatever, and I'll pass like 2 or 3 mobile guys driving around. It's nuts. So yeah. So you said you got one guy working with you. So has he always been working with you, or was it one of those things where you just kind of got to a point where you're like, man, I need to bring somebody on?
yeah. It's he's been working with me for about a year.
Okay.
But yeah, like how it came about it is just getting to the point where like you'd have a 2 or 3 month waiting period for like a correction
Yeah.
or a coding or stuff like that, and then you get people that want like a full detail or just like an express or that sort of stuff, and you're like, man, I just can't do it like unless I'm gonna work till 10 o'clock at night or something like. And like people aren't going to wait a month or so to have an express detail or like a couple of hours work done on their car. It's impractical. So it got to the point where I was like, if I want to keep these regular customers and that sort of stuff coming in without having to move stuff around, I just had to put someone on. So um, that's how that came about. Yeah.
Was it somebody that was already experienced, or did you like train them, hire them up and train them, your way and get them kind of dialed in?
Yeah, he hadn't had any experience.
Okay.
Um, he was interested in the work, but had never done it before, obviously. So yeah, I was lucky in that way that there was not necessarily bad habits, but he didn't have like style differences or
Yeah.
expectation differences to how I do things. So I was able to start him from scratch and sort of break him in my way to doing
Yeah.
things, which is always handy in
No,
that
that's
aspect.
cool. Yeah, I asked because we just did an episode a couple weeks back about hire when to hire people and then like how to train them and everything. Um and it got a lot of response because a lot of people were like, man, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I kind of feel like I am. And I don't know if it's the same over there, but here, the biggest thing that a lot of detailers talk about is with hiring somebody is, them spending, a couple of months or whatever training them, and then that person just being like, all right, peace out, and go and starting their own business because now they've got all the training and everything. So, yeah, so I was just curious because, like I said, we just did that episode not too long ago. Um, I was curious how you did that.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a risk of that as well, which is always in the back of your mind. You teach them to the point where they're like 70, 80% of what you can do, and then they could 100% just leave and obviously
Yeah.
half of your work or whatever, which is always a risk. But I guess that's like that in most fields, really, as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I was talking to a guy that has a business in my complex one time. He has a paver sealer business, where he goes around and like pressure washes driveways and seals pavers and stuff like that. And he was telling me one time, he said the key is you got to find somebody driven to work but not motivated to start their own business. And I was like, yep, that's pretty much right on. And that's what he said. He always tries to find people that want to work and they're driven to work, but they're just not motivated enough to like, take that next step. Because he goes, those end up being the best employees I ever have. Because they'll show up on time, they'll work hard, they'll do all the things, but they're not willing to push it that next step or that next level and do it on their own. So um I always tell people that story whenever we kind of talk about this stuff, just because I think it's a good advice when you're looking for somebody, to look for something like that.
Oh, definitely, it definitely makes it a lot easier,
Yeah.
um, especially if it's someone that wants to do what you're doing as well. That you more chance of them sticking around instead of wasting months on someone that leaves in 6 months or something as well, which is always a risk. And I guess part of the reason why I put it off for so long, it was probably a 12-month period nearly where everyone was telling me, oh, you should put someone on, like you need an extra person. I'm like, yeah, but if you waste, a couple of months time on them and then either that they don't have
Yeah.
the eye for it or they can't pick it up or they just don't like it and leave again, it's like you're back to square one. You've wasted all that time. It's definitely one of the hardest parts of owning a business, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. I mean, for working what, like 3 years by yourself and then with somebody for the last year, um, is it more enjoyable having an employee with you working for the day, or do you miss those times when it was just you?
It's a bit of both. I definitely enjoy having someone with me. Obviously, you're not in the shed, on your own, quiet, sort of no one to talk to all day.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, obviously, there's other times where it's a pain in the butt too because you're running around watching over someone or double checking them or making sure you can keep them busy and that sort of stuff as well. So it goes both ways. But um, there's definitely times too, like after hours, where I'll shut the doors and I'll stay a couple of hours and just do stuff on my own in the quiet as well, just because sometimes you need that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall it's better having someone when you're 40, 50 hours at work on your own. It gets boring after a while if you got no one to talk to as well, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
every week.
that's where I mean for many years I ran I ran a couple of car washes around here and everything, and so camaraderie was always a big thing because we had fun. You mean multiple employees and things like that. We always had a blast. It was always like camaraderie. Um, and when I started this business, just being on my own, it was a little bit of shock, or a little bit of not even a little bit. It was a huge change to go from, having people to talk to all day and tell stories and clown around with and, get stuff done to just being by myself. But um, I don't know, man. Now, dude, I love it. I love just putting my headphones on, turning on a podcast or listen to some music. Um, and if I get really bored, want to talk to somebody, then I just, as long as I'm not like running a machine or a vacuum or something, I'll call somebody and talk to them, and then at least I get that, get that, that's somebody to talk to, kind of thing.
Yeah, you need that sometimes. It was a shock for me too, because for the first sort of 2 years of doing it full time, I was sharing a shop with someone, um, just because I didn't need the space and it was cheaper rent and whatnot. And then obviously when you separate from that, and yeah, it's a big shock. You're sitting here on your own and you're like, oh, this is cool and that, but like, who do I yell at or who do I talk to?
Yeah,
Or like, I can't just yell across the shop and stir someone up or anything like that. Like I can't throw a bit of tape at someone just to cause some trouble or anything. You're sitting here twiddling your thumbs, sort of thing. Sometimes.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely something you got to get kind of used to. But yeah, no, but that's pretty cool. Um, let's see what. Dang it, man! I always do this. I get questions that pop up and then they disappear. So what kind of? I mean, are you primarily doing like anything detail wise, or do you primarily do more like corrections and codings? I mean, I know you mentioned kind of doing like some of the express stuff or whatever. That's why you got the employee, but um, what do you try to generalize or focus more towards?
Personally, I like paintwork sort of stuff. So like corrections and like I get some jobs from some of the panel shops where I do a bit of wet sanding for texture and that sort of stuff.
Okay, nice.
That's the stuff I enjoy more of, but at the same time, like realistically, it's 50-50 between that and interiors and express work and general cleaning that we actually
Yeah,
do. And I'm not saying I don't enjoy a good interior turnaround or anything like that, because obviously you get some satisfying results with them as well. But yeah, I sort of enjoy the paintwork side of it personally, to be honest. That's what I go for, and that's what I obviously keep trying to. You're always trying to improve your
yeah.
skills in that aspect.
I think that's the one thing most detailers would say that they, like I don't know how it is over there, but I mean over here every now and then you get some of these detailers that get on social media and like, oh, get out of bed unless it's a correction and coding job or whatever. But I kind of like, I mean, I don't like it, but every now and then I don't mind, doing some of kind of like the express stuff or interiors or whatever, just because it breaks up the monotony a little bit. I mean, you staring at paint for, a day or two, correcting it and then coding it, 3 days, whatever. Um, Sometimes it's nice to just do, a couple of washes and waxes or an interior or, something a little easier, a little less, um, doesn't take all your focus like paint correction does. So I kind of like having that blend or that mixture of doing a little bit of everything.
Oh, definitely. Like and there's a lot of skill in all the little things as well. Like I mean, yeah, your corrections and coatings, you make good money and whatnot,
Yeah,
but you're still cleaning dashes and all the little details and that in the interior. Like you can sort of enjoy yourself there as well. You can do a little rhythm and sort of just yeah, it definitely is a break up from sitting on a machine for 8 hours a day. That's for sure. Listening to the hum and all
yeah.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, listen, let's do our commercial break and then we'll come right back.
Bye.
The leading provider of tint, paint protection film, and ceramic coatings. Experience the transformation as you cool down your vehicle and elevate its curb appeal with Audubon's window tint. Ditch rock chips and scratches by fortifying your paint with Audubon's cutting-edge paint protection film. And for an additional safeguard, add a ceramic coating. Backed by an unwavering lifetime warranty, Audubon's products form automotive armor with no limits. Visit AudubonFilms.com to delve deeper into the realm of automotive care and protection. All right, we're back. So I mean, obviously, you guys have some different style cars and everything like that over there than we have here. What are some of your favorite cars to work on?
I prefer like the older cars personally. You know, like just your classic like muscle cars and like
Yeah,
old V8 stuff and that. But yeah, I'm not a big four-wheel drive kind of guy. I know some people like that, but they don't do much for me. And like, I don't mind. Don't get me wrong, you get a nice exotic or European car over there, they're cool. But yeah, classic cars for me are probably the most fun to work on, I think. Um, just you know, seeing the results and how good some of them have preserved themselves over the years and whatnot, and what you
right.
can do,
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. And you get a lot more variety, obviously, with like surface types and all that sort of stuff and different paint types and that. I feel like it's a bit more exciting than sort of the repetitiveness of new cars and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
yeah. No, you gotta scrolling through your Instagram and everything. Since I was kind of started following you to kind of see what's going on. You do have a pretty good mix of some good muscle cars and everything. And one of the cars that kind of stood out to me was that Falcon. Talking about classic muscle cars, that thing looked pretty sweet. I like that really light baby blue type color too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. It is good getting that sort of stuff in, and I think there's just heaps more character about them. Like you get all the curves and the lines and that sort of stuff.
right.
New cars just end up they all sort of feel the same in a way. They've all sort of become a similar shape. Whereas back in the day, I think the engineers and designers were a bit more expressive. Some of the wild things they done, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like they've definitely lost their. I mean, I'm not gonna say all of them because there's still some pretty cool cars out there that have some pretty nice shapes to them and everything. But some of them, it's just so like I've said it before. Somebody asked me one time what I thought about Teslas, and I was like, they just look like a Manila folder to me. They're just plain and boring. It's like it's nothing cool about a Tesla. you know, but yeah, you're right. Those older cars, they had a lot of curves to them, or wedges, or just really cool, unique shapes that you don't see a whole lot of anymore today, I feel.
Yeah, that's right. And there was so many iconic shapes in that. Like you look at cars in modern day. There's no iconic shape, to
Yeah.
a Toyota or a Honda or a Mitsubishi or anything anymore. Like they're all just. You nearly need to look at the badge to know what they are. Sometimes, like
Yeah.
back in the day, you could tell if it was a Chevy or a Dodge or a Ford or Holden's or whatever, just by like the shape of a quarter or something. Like,
Yeah. I feel even the exotics have kind of gotten that way too. I mean, you think about the 80s, and the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they had that classic like wedge shape, or even the old Lotus, like the old Lotus Esprits that the windshield was almost the same angle as the hood coming up. So, it was almost a crazy wedge shape. Now they're just kind of meh, I feel. I mean, yeah, they're still kind of cool because they're Ferraris and Lamborghinis or whatever, but like now I see them driving on the road or whatever. I'm just like, yeah,
yeah, they
you know?
almost blend in. Unlike
Yeah,
they used. There's just no outrageous shapes anymore. Like you definitely look at the old Lamborghinis and Ferraris and some of the things, and you're like, those completely outrageous design. Like, who come up with that and
Oh
why?
yeah,
But that's what made it cool. Looking at it, going, that would make a cool Hot Wheels car. Like that.
yeah,
That used to be what made a cool car. Now, yeah,
yeah. I always say, I always think the like the 348 Ferraris or like the old Testarossas or whatever. I mean, I've never detailed one, so I can't ever say, or I can't speak of from experience, but I always look at those with those big like rakes down the side, and I just feel like, that's just got to be a detailer's nightmare because there's not really a tool that you can use to get in there. Well, I guess you could use like the little rotary tool, I guess, to get in there, but especially like back in the 80s when those cars were out, there wasn't really a tool that you could use to get in there. So that's all hand polishing or, hand correcting or whatever, which I could just, not see being any fun.
yeah, definitely. I couldn't imagine sitting there for a couple of hours,
yeah,
polishing all the grooves and stuff. Not at all.
yeah, exactly. That's why when they started going to those bigger scoops and the cars, the ones that I've done had the bigger scoops on them, I'm like, oh yeah, this is so much easier. I could put a little 3-inch mini in there, or get the hybrid out and get in there with it or whatever. It's so much better. Um, yeah. So how big's your shop? Like what size shop do you run?
It's 18 by 11 in meters, which I think is like 60 by 20 or something.
Okay, so it's pretty
Yeah,
decent
you
shop.
can fit
Yeah,
like 10, 11 cars in here if
yeah,
you need to.
that's pretty big. Yeah.
You can't fit that many in there at the moment because obviously I store some of my own things in here and whatnot. I may as well use that space. It's been a problem over the years having space. You're like, oh, I'll just buy that. I'll sit it at the shop or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it sits for like 6 months. You're like, why did I buy that aside from it was cheap and I had space? Like,
Right. And then you're like, I need to get rid of this shit. It's costing me money because I could have a car in there, working on
yeah,
it.
exactly. You end up selling it 6 months later or something anyway. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so I always whenever I talk to people, outside of the US, I always try to ask, differences, from what they see us doing to how they do things or whatever. I mean, do you feel like there's a lot of differences between, the way that we detail cars here in the States compared to the way you guys detail it there, or is it, pretty similar?
Um, I don't think there's major differences. Obviously, like there's some little things that are different. With like just some of the condition differences too. Like even where I am, we get a lot of cars with big bull bars and like things like that. Um, Really bad bug damage, all that sort of stuff with the cars around because I'm out in the country. But like for the most part, I think a lot of things are pretty similar to what you used to over there. Um, Definitely like there's not as many people like with work trucks and that sort of stuff. Like utes, what we call, but
Yeah.
like trucks and stuff. People don't look after them as much over here as what it seems over there. Like you see a lot of company utes and that getting detailed and looked after. Where over here they're seen as a work truck and they just get driven until they fall apart. Basically, never washed any of that sort of stuff. But
Yeah. Oh,
I
don't get
think
me wrong. They do that over here too for most, but yeah, there are some companies and whatever that do kind of take care of their trucks, but there's a lot of them over here that's just don't give a shit. There's, you know, like they'll probably run them through the car wash more than they would take them to a detail or whatever because they really don't want to spend the money on them. Honestly, they even over here they still kind of look at it as like, yeah, it's a work truck. But if it's like a prestigious company or something like that, or maybe if it's a nicer, you know, vehicle, they at least try to keep it clean. So if they're going out to, jobs or whatever, it doesn't, somebody's not rolling up in a, mud covered truck to, nice neighborhoods to do, work on houses or something like that, or buildings or whatever.
no, yeah, I guess. I mean, there is odd companies around here that are like that, but yeah, it's it's not as common, I guess. And I sort of understand it too. Like especially where we are, it's very hard to keep a car clean anyway. So a lot of people assume it's not worth the effort, but they sort of depends on how long you plan on keeping it too, I guess. If you want it to last, as we all know, you don't really have any option but to clean it regularly and look after it otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was curious because I know when we talked to some guys in the Speed Six guys in the UK, their biggest thing was like shampoos over there. Like, God, they love their shampoos in the UK, and I'm like, it's a soap. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, and but they're like, no, it's a shampoo, and we got a shampoo for this and a shampoo for that, and I was like, dude, it's soap, man. Just wash a car and let's go. so,
Yeah.
so it's just weird, like, the different things. I mean, I've talked to, I've talked to, some other people in and around Europe, and there's definitely different ways. I mean, obviously everybody's going to do something different, I always say there's, million and one ways to skin a cat. So, as long as at the end of the day, you got a clean and shiny car and the customer's happy, who cares how you got there?
Yeah, that's definitely it. I guess we do have, we don't have the pre and post winter prep that obviously some places do, being that we don't get the snow really here and we don't get the salted roads or anything.
Yeah.
I know that's a big thing in places over there and in Europe. We don't really have that issue. But I mean, we have a big emphasis on the sun. Obviously, there's massive UV in Australia all the time. It's probably the biggest thing we have to deal with, obviously. So
yeah, that's kind of the same here, because I mean, in Florida, we don't get snow or anything like that, so we don't deal with, we're kind of the same. We don't deal with, pre and post winter prep like some of my buddies do up north. And then yeah, we definitely have, the humidity and the heat and everything. So you can definitely tell, when somebody's driving down the road and they've never put a wax on their car or barely washed it because the roof and the hood or trunk are just, paint's gone, no clear coat left whatsoever. You can just tell it's been, for as long, however old of a car it is, it's just been sitting out in the sun, just getting, baked or whatever. So yeah, we're pretty similar there. I mean, it's funny. I always joke with Cam that Australia is just trying to be Florida because you guys have a lot of things over there that just are trying to kill you. I feel like we have a little bit more because we don't have just animals trying to kill us. We've also got the people trying to kill us too, and we got Florida Man and all this stuff. So I always joke with Cam that we're Australia is just if Florida was a country.
There's definitely some similarities there. That's for sure.
Yeah. I know. He's always sending me pictures of the big old wolf spiders. You always having those issues over there too with those things.
Yeah, we definitely get them here. A few different types of spiders, and obviously some pretty bad snakes and that where we are. Which is something you got to watch out for. Even where I am in town, like you still get them in your yard and stuff, so you got to watch out for that with your pets and your kids and that. But
yeah. The only thing we don't really worry about it anymore because where I live is kind of a little bit of a wooded area outside of town. We used to have bears. Haven't seen the bears in a while. Got a lot of deer. And we get turkeys every now and then. It's pretty cool to see turkeys, I'm always like, man, if you were just coming around Thanksgiving time, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cam's always sending me pictures of the kangaroos, kind of just out and about, running around. So I think that's kind of a cool thing.
They're probably the dumbest animal on the planet. I think kangaroos, which is really frustrating. Like, They're pretty good at running at headlights and crossing the road when there's a million cars because they think it's amusing or something. I don't know. But they'll even run into the side of your car. They're that stupid, them animals. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
We got to deal with it. I guess the worst thing we do is probably the magpies. I'm convinced they're just here to try and kill people, but I don't understand the need for the aggression when their nest is up in a tree and you're 100 meters away while they need to attack you. But,
geez. Yeah. No, we don't really have any birds that attack us down here, at least none that I've ever been attacked by. We got these stupid cranes. These things are like, man, they'll grow to like 4 to 5 feet tall. And they're I don't think they're endangered anymore, but they're still kind of like on the watch list or whatever. But these things just walk out in the middle. It's like you got wings. Can't you fly? They'll just walk right out in the middle of the road. Cars are coming, and they're just, you talk about the kangaroos being dumb. I feel like these things are dumb because they walk just like, like they don't have a care in the world. It's their own time, so everybody stops so that they can walk across the road. They stop in the middle of the road. Everybody's honking horns at them, and it's just, I'm like, just die off already. Like you guys were on the endangered list. Like you should have just been wiped out. They're just annoying birds.
Kangaroos are definitely the same. You beep your horn at them, they stand there and look at you, or you beep a horn at them and on the side of the road they turn and run at your headlights or something. Like, what is the point of doing that? Like, I can't you run away like any normal animal when you honk at it? Like, just stare at me while I'm doing, 60 miles an hour in the middle of the road. Just look at me. Like, how do you think it's going to end? You're not smart.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, knock on wood, I've never had an animal run out in front of me other than squirrels. Squirrels always run out, and I'm slamming on the brakes trying not to run over a squirrel. My wife's just like, run the damn thing over. Stop trying to cause an accident. I'm like, but they're squirrels. So yeah. But listen, let's take our last commercial break, and then we'll come back and I'll ask you the 3 questions, the thinking questions, and then we'll wrap this up. I'll be right back.
Knows what a detailer wants. Aquatech is a company founded by detailers for detailers.
Aquatech Coatings is a company that was founded on the frustrations that we all face as professional detailers. And that is why we set out to build a company that eliminates those frustrations, to provide excellent customer service, quality products, reliability, efficiency, products that check all the boxes as professional detailers we need and we want.
Find out why so many detailers around the world are loving the Aquatech difference. Join our team today at aquatechcoatings.com.
Okay, Brett. So these are my 3 questions I ask everybody just to kind of see how they answer them, see how everybody differs or is the same or whatever. So the first one I call the Groundhog Day question. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. He basically is a terrible human being. He wakes up on Groundhog Day and has to relive Groundhog Day over and over and over and over again until he fixes his life. It doesn't matter if he kills himself, he still wakes up the next day. Anything that he does during that day, he still remembers or carries on into the next day. Everybody else, it's just the same day over for them. So if you woke up on Groundhog, or if you woke up and had to relive the same day over and over and over and over again, after you got over trying to kill yourself, because I think that's something that we all would definitely do, what would be the thing that you would try to do with that day? Whether it's try to learn a new skill, a new language, an instrument, help somebody out, even if it really only helps them for that day. What would you do?
I'd probably use it for learning, to be perfectly honest, and a bit of experimentation. I mean, obviously, if we all had the opportunity to try things and see how they play out, and knowing that we'd get another chance the next day, I mean, I'm sure we'd all take that opportunity to get some knowledge and to try some things that we'd love to know the outcome of.
So you would think that. So we are in May. So I have done probably, or no, we're in April. Sorry, So I probably have done 7 interviews and asked that question, and all 7 people have said that they would try to help other people, whether it's giving them money, help them, whatever. You're the first person to say that they would try to learn something, and I'm glad, because I think I'd be like, man, fuck them people. They're just still gonna be poor tomorrow, right? Like, like I want to learn something. So I like that you said that. But what would you want? What would you want to learn, or what would you want to try to experiment with? I mean, is there something now that maybe you just don't have time to do? You're like, man, I'd really love to do that, but I just don't have time for it. Or, is it just, you would just kind of dabble in a little bit of whatever?
I'll probably do a bit of whatever, to be honest. Sort of play around with it a bit, I guess. Try doing some life things, work experiences. Maybe try and learn some things with people you might never learn, or anything, that sort of stuff. I guess you just make the most of it and sort of run with what's happening at the time. I do get why everyone would say help people, because I understand that as well. But to be perfectly honest, throughout my life, I try to help people where I can anyway, every day, or when opportunities arise. So I don't really see that as a special circumstance to do that. I believe if there's a position to help someone without, completely ruining something for yourself, I don't understand why you shouldn't take that opportunity anyway. So
right.
That's sort of my view on that one anyway.
No, I like that. Because like I said, you're the first person that said that they would want to try to learn something. Okay, so the second one is the Back to the Future question. So you get access to the DeLorean. You can go anywhere in time, forward, backwards, whatever. Where are you going to go, and what do you want to see, or what do you want to do?
Probably like the 70s or 80s is where I would go.
Okay.
I just feel like there'd be so many enjoyable experiences there. Like, you look at music back then, you look at the cars and the culture and all that sort of stuff. Like, to me, in a way, it was sort of peak, humanity. In a way, like, there was so much happier, so much more laid back, so much less stress. It seems. Obviously, I wasn't alive back then, but to me, I feel like that'd be something to experience, where life was a bit more laid back, and there's a lot more enjoyment to be had, versus nowadays where everything's extremely stressful and no one has time anymore.
I like that. Another different answer. Everybody said that they would go back to a time, to over a lost parent or something like that. So straight up bucking the system over here so far. Like, I like it, man. That's what I love about this, because it gets you get, sometimes it's the same answers from people, but kind of a different meaning or different reasoning. And then sometimes you get something completely different, and it's just definitely is because it means something to different people. Okay, so last question. This is kind of the fun one. What's your death row last meal?
So many choices there.
Yeah, this is the tough one, because it's like, man, I really love pizzas, but I really love burgers, and I really love steak, and
there's a few options there, but then you're also thinking, like, do I choose something that takes ages to eat just so that you get to be Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really ever pass up the opportunity for tacos like that. That's 100% me. I'll eat them 7 days a week if I get the opportunity. So if it's the last thing I'm gonna eat, it's probably gonna be another dish of tacos that I'm gonna get in while I have the opportunity.
Just regular beef tacos, or anything special? Any kind of special tacos?
Brisket or pulled pork would be the two favorite options there. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Nice. Well, listen, man, that's it. Painful or painless? Not painful. Painless.
Good fun. Nice
Yeah,
hanging
yeah,
out.
it went by pretty quick. Listen, Brett, if anybody, is interested in following you and seeing some, work from, different part of the world or anything like that, um, what's all your ats? Where can people find you? Where can people give you a follow or maybe hit you up and shout at you or whatever?
So yeah, just Facebook and Instagram's all I've got social media wise. So Facebook's just high def detailing. And my Instagram is at HDD and they're probably the two real only places I consistently post
Okay.
my work. So yeah,
Yeah. One last question. What's the Mudgee?
Mudgee's the town we're in. That's where I live.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. I didn't know if it
yeah,
was like a special meaning or saying or some Aussie thing or something that Cam might give me shit for asking that question, but
no, yeah, I just live in Mudgee in New South Wales here in Australia. So
gotcha. All right, well, cool, man. Listen, I appreciate you doing this, dude. It is definitely interesting, to meet people, different detailers from all over. But we have, I think Australia is our third or fourth most listened country for this podcast. So I definitely love, getting you guys on the podcast when I can. I know it's not super hard because of the time difference, just gotta make sure you guys aren't doing anything on a Saturday morning. But um, I definitely love talking to new people. So it's cool to meet you. It's cool, interesting following you on social media and everything lately. So I definitely appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it too. It's always good to connect with fellow detailers and fellow people. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
For
No worries,
sure.
man. All right. Well, I'm going to let you get on about your day. I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go finish off my Friday night. So I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Appreciate it.
Well, man, thank you. I'll talk to you.
Thank you. All right. So that was Brett. Dude, the Australian guys, they're such cool guys. I haven't met one yet that I think is other than Cam Scorey. He's a pain in my ass, but yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please go like, share, follow, subscribe, hit that notification button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast. Please leave a 5-star review. Please, please, please. It definitely helps out the show. Again, the Red Delight, please hit me up. Buy these things. I don't use wax. I don't need wax. I just did it to be a goof. We have to outsell Noxie is the main thing. So hashtag Team Alex. We need to outsell Noxie. Don't let him sell all his before I can sell mine. Hit me up if you want one. I'll get you taken care of. $60 shipped inside the United States, and it's a lot more if I ship it outside. So, with that, have a great night, day, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. My name's Alex Russell, and I'll see you next time. Bye.